Hey everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? 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 Happy Thursday to you. I am excited to be here tonight. I had gone live in my private group and decided that I wanted to talk about some things here. And yeah, so I'm here and I'm back. I am here and I am back. I hope that you had a wonderful day. Sorry, I'm so focused on what I'm doing. Make sure I can see. I can see my peoples. Let's see here. Where is my window for? Let's see here. Okay. I'm getting there. Don't worry. I need to see what I'm looking for. Where are you? Let's see here. Where is my comments and reactions? There we go. Now I can see. Hey, Lucy. Thanks for joining me again, babe. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to share a little bit about just something that took place over the past couple of days, and it's kind of rubbed me. A little wrong. Tonight, the topic I'm talking about is listen. Listen, listen. Communicating is more than flapping your gums. Talking, it is a lot to do with listening. And I came across this verse that I wanted to share, or that I read, and it was talking about the story of Job. And if you go and you read the story of Job, how, Job had gone through a lot of trials. He lost all of his kids, he lost all of his crops, he lost all of his servants, and then his body was struck with sickness. And he had a couple of friends that heard about all the stuff that was going on with them, and so they decided to come and visit and spend some time with him. And as you go through the story of Job, they all had the idea that they were going to come together, that they were going to, mourn with him with all of the sadness that had struck him. They were going to try to comfort him. They were going to, they were going to be there for their friend. So they travel from all these different places. They get to where he is, and they basically, it's like they don't even recognize him, and they're just so saddened by his condition. And they start doing all this stuff, tearing their clothes and, just wailing and doing all kinds of stuff. And then they hung around him for 7 days. They hung around him for 7 days. They didn't say anything because he was in a lot of grief. And so they all just kind of sat together for 7 days. I can imagine that, just like you and I, if you've got people in your life that, love and care about you, if you're going through a hard time, a difficult time, there are people that are going to be there for you. They are going to come. They're going to want to, love on you and share, share in the sorrow and try to bring you some joy and just cover you with love, right? There are people in your life that are there for you like that. They're also the same people who, if they don't understand the measure and the breadth and the depth of your anguish and pain, they can only relate to it as far as their own worldview goes, their own perception of what it might be like. And that's what Job was experiencing. Here he is, he's gone through all this great grief and sorrow and trouble and loss. And his friends come and they're like, oh my gosh. They're kind of blown away. They don't quite know what to say, so they just kind of hang around. And as if you get more into the story, Job begins to talk, and they begin to talk, and you see like this whole scenario play out of questions and wondering why these things were happening to him. Like, have you ever looked at your life and said, dang it, like, God, could you just give me a break? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? I'm tired. Like, did you have to allow all of this? I mean, if we could just be real with one another. Okay, I'll be real with myself. I have asked God questions. I have asked him. I have yelled. I have screamed. I have just like, I don't get it, God. Like, what is happening? And there have been times when he has not even, when I tell you it felt like the prayers bouncing off the walls and slapping me across my face, that's exactly what it felt like. I mean, it was eerily silent. Now, by my friend and mentor, Dr. John Maxwell, he will, when he's teaching and mentoring us, there's one thing that he says to us all the time when it comes to experience. Experience is a teacher, but an evaluated experience is where you gain wisdom. Evaluated experience, that is where you gain wisdom. So as I was reading this story and I'm thinking back to like, oh my gosh, I can think of so many times when I have been through like really hard life stuff and I'm just like asking God questions. And I'm not one who believes that, okay, well, you're not supposed to question God. I believe that he loves me and he knows me so well that I can ask him questions and understand that everything is in his timing. It is in his timing, and there's a reason for all things. He's just and he's fair. And that all things that happen, whether they're good or they're bad, they work together for my good. And so, as I've matured in my walk and as I've learned more, I've come to that evaluated experience and that evaluated understanding so that I can have the wisdom to know that, the trouble's not gonna last always, that there is a lesson in the storm. There's a lesson in between where you are and where you want to be, and how you handle that space, how you handle that gap, how you operate and perform in that gap is how you will operate and perform on the other side. So you got Job's friends here. Please excuse the dogs. You got his friends here. They see their friend in just in really terrible shape, and they listened. They listened. They listened. Everyone communicates, but not everyone connects. And sometimes when you're going through a really difficult time, or someone that you love is going through a very difficult time, the best thing that you can do is not try to come up with a solution for them or some type of activity that they can get involved with. But what you can do that is very powerful is to just close your lips and listen. There is there's a truth that I want to share with you. You want to know when intimacy is lost? Intimacy in not necessarily romantic relationships, but just in relationships, friendships, family relationships. Intimacy is lost not when people stop talking, but it's lost when they stop listening. When we are busy flapping our gums and we're not hearing what's being said, we can cause so much more damage to the relationship if we don't take the time to be quiet and listen. When listening doesn't take place, it destroys families, it destroys relationships, it destroys teams, it can destroy businesses, it can destroy so much. Divorces happen because people don't listen. Have you heard the term, especially in love relationships? We can just go ahead and get this on out of the way. When a woman's fed up, there's nothing you can do about it. When she stops crying, that's when you know she's really done. For a woman to get to that point, what do you think had to go through on the inside in order for her to get there? What do you think? I want to know. While you guys are coming up with comments, I want to see who is watching. Let me move this out of the way. Hey Barb. Hey lovely. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much. Hello Marilyn from Washington. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness. It's my auntie. Hi Susie. I love you. I love you so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm so honored that you're here. This is so cool. So, when people stop listening, they stop connecting, Barbara says. When they stop listening, they stop connecting. Connection comes by listening with your heart. Absolutely, Barbara. Absolutely. When you are listening, when you can shut your mouth, and I'm saying it just like that because I really want to say when you shut up and just stop talking, stop trying to be in control. Stop trying to fix the problem that's not your job to fix. Stop trying to put things on people based on your own worldview and your own perception. You can hear what their heart is saying. So that brings me to something that really just really bothered me. I usually don't talk a lot about stuff that's going on in politics or the news or entertainment or anything like that, but this one really got to me. So Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, she has a show called The Red Table Talks, and The Red Table Talks is basically I call it a higher scale of Girl Ask Me Anything, but basically what it is she will come and she'll have guests come to the table, and the table is a very safe place. The table is a place where you can be authentic and you can be transparent. And when you sit down at that table, she's going to talk about some real stuff. And so this last episode that I saw, she had the women of the Steph Curry family tribe on the show. Now, it's a mother, daughter-in-law, and then it's Jada's mom and her daughter. So they're all sitting at this table and they're talking about the women, these wives that are their wives to, basketball superstars. And Steph Curry's dad, he was an NBA player. Of course, Steph Curry, he's one of the most renowned basketball players that is, just killing it today. You have then his brother's wife, and then the girlfriend, the fiance, she just got recently engaged. Anyway, so they're talking about what it's like to be the woman and, married to these powerful, high profile figures. Great conversation happening. And at one point, Aisha Curry, who's Steph Curry's wife, she's 30 years old. She's been a model. She has this amazing business empire that surrounding cooking and food and all of that she has built. They've been married since they were like barely became adults, and they have 3 children. She's 30 years old. And, she began to share a very authentic place that she found herself in after having 3 kids. And when you have children, for those ladies that are watching me that have kids, you know this to be true. When you have children, your mind changes, your heart changes, and your body changes. And so does your spirit. Everything about you as a woman changes when you have children. And so Aisha shared just something really authentic, and basically what she said was, I've spent all this time, and I'm really paraphrasing, so please forgive me if I don't get it perfect. I've spent all this time being a mom and building this business and, doing all this stuff and being, Steph's wife. And, as a basketball player, you've got women that are out there that are just, they are there for one thing. They're there to try to get the man. And she shared the story about I think they had their second or their youngest baby, and she's in the Suburban, and Steph had gotten out the car, and all these women came, like these groupies came, and they're like hovering around the car, and one woman opened up the vehicle. Now his wife is nursing the baby, and this chick, she opens the vehicle, and she's like, well, you just need to get used to this. This is what you signed up for. And Aisha was just like, she was completely put off by it. But the part that has had so many people talking is the fact that she said, I've been all these things, and, I don't get attention from men like my husband gets attention from women. And in the context that she was saying it, it was from a place of feeling insecure. Not because she was out there trying to look for somebody to have, some foolishness with. Not because she was trying to go chase after some dude. None of that. It was in the entirety, in the entire conversation, it basically came down to an insecurity of not feeling like, wondering. Not even, it's like wondering, do I still have it? Wondering if I'm pretty or if I'm attractive. Wondering if, people would take notice, if men would take notice. Now I've heard guys say, married men too, yeah, of course, if someone's complimenting my wife, I'm not worried about it because I know she's coming home with me. And I know that there are women that are out there that do the same thing. But here it is, you have this young woman who is married, who's been married, who's done all these things, and she's expressing a very authentic and transparent thing about her that she's been kind of just struggling with. And the stuff that I read on social media just fired me up. Because we will talk about, women need to stick together, we need to collaborate and not compete. We, women's empowerment, hey, we can do it, all this stuff. And here it is, a woman that is expressing an insecurity, an authentic, a very transparent moment of something that she's just kind of thought about, that she's wondered about. And we went completely, I say that in general, there were some people that went completely in. And then the Christians that were going in on her. And I'm sitting here like, did you guys not listen? Did you really take the time to listen to what this woman's heart was saying? Or were you taking it from the perspective of, she is the wife of a rich NBA player, so therefore she's on a different plane, a different standard. And or there were some that were like, okay, well, you're married, and how dare you? You should only do this for your husband and that for your husband. I mean, it was all over the place. And my question is, did you take the time to really listen to what her heart was saying? Understanding the context. You got a mom and 3 daughters at the table, girlfriends talking together. They were having a very authentic and transparent moment. And the very people that talk about we need to stay connected and women need to stick together, some of those very people that are fighting for their women's rights and all this stuff, are the very people that are tearing this woman down. How in the world did you listen? Some of you might not think it's the same. You might not. But if we really want to do this right, if we really want to work together and build each other up, that's the kind of madness that needs to stop. That's when we need to stop flopping our gums and becoming keyboard warriors, grabbing the cell phone and you're just all over social media and saying whatever you want to say because, hey, you got that right. But if we really want to get this thing right, we need to change what's going on up here and close what's going on up here so that what's happening in our hearts doesn't spill out of our lips and really show who we are. We communicate and we connect. That's the way this works. If we want to build each other up, we need to stop tearing each other down. So, yeah, I was kind of heated, just because this stuff was unnecessary. And it doesn't just happen with public figures. It happens in our jobs. It happens in our schools. It happens in our churches. And we wonder why people don't want to have anything to do with it. Or we wonder why there's a disconnect between humans made out of the same stuff. Because the connection of listening to what the heart has said has been broken. I'm glad that we have room for growth, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity to choose, and that God, in all of his wisdom and his mercy, he gives us the power to choose differently. And so my encouragement to you is to remember this truth, that people don't lose intimacy when they stop talking, but when they stop listening. And when we listen to other people, it empowers them. When we hear what's not being spoken, we can help them. The sheer act of listening speaks volumes, guys, gals, ladies. It speaks volume. Sometimes just the very act of listening can communicate more than words could ever say. That's what was on my heart. That's what was on my heart. Good lessons for me to learn and to remember, that in building the relationships that I have, those important relationships to me, that as much as I talk, it's even much more important that I listen, because then you can hear the things that need to be said. So I hope that this was of value to you, and I don't use that word lightly at all. It is incredibly important that we are growing together. And one thing that I know is that leaders go first. We go first and we set the example. And oh, thank you, Leslie. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We go first. We go first. We go first. Oh, Chantel. Hello, Chantel. Chantel says words. When we listen to other people, we empower them. Absolutely. Listening can speak louder than the words that we use. So I love y'all. I thank you for hanging out with me. I started a little bit later tonight because I had a private session with my Girl Ask Me Anything community group. But I thought this was important enough to come online and share with you guys. So thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And you can catch me again with Grow with Dezi next Thursday night at 7:30, because at 7 o'clock I'm teaching on some technology. So if you want to learn about technology, you can join me in the community. All right. Oh, we've got some more comments here. Marilyn says, yes, reminder to slow down, slow to speak, quick to listen. Absolutely, Marilyn. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.